Welcome to Tri-City Community Television. I'm your host, Mandara. My guest today is Lea Morrison. She's a personal development coach, an energetic healer for trauma, abuse, and addiction. She's also a teacher and mentor for meditation and mindfulness. Please welcome Lea.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Good. You're here to speak to us today about getting out of one's own story, which really means getting out of one's own way.
Pretty much.
And healing and getting back to health. What does it mean to climb out of one's own story?
Well, understanding that everything that you know doesn't necessarily need to depict how you live. So a lot of people go through their entire lives being told who they are or having these experiences that they take as definition of who they have to be based on their environment. And it's not true. Regardless of what you've been through or how you've lived your life, you can actually change your story any minute of the day and start to live a better, healthier, holistic version, and whoever you want to be can start to come out.
What are some common stories that people tell themselves?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm not good enough. That's the biggest one. I think that fuels a lot of self-worth identifying issues and difficulties that almost every single person goes through, because that's what we're taught through society, it's what we're taught through media, that you have to be this to be able to fit in. And then alternatively, you have to be, if you want to stand out, you're not supposed to fit in. There's always something, you're either too big or too small, too fat or too skinny, too smart or not smart enough. There's always something that you lack.
We can have shared stories as well.
Absolutely.
And that probably sends us deeper into this spiral.
Well, and the impressions that you have within your environment and who raised you and what they believe of themselves directly relates to what you will end up believing about yourself, because we are taught everything we know. And whoever's teaching you will implement that into your life.
You're an energetic healer. Describe how energetic healing helps people climb out of their stories.
Well, I think it's a combination. It's not the be-all and end-all. I don't think any modality that you use is a be-all and end-all, but it adds into the ability to find that place of calm where you go into a homeostatic place within your body. And when you are there, then you have an opportunity to climb out. So when you have an energetic healing, depending on what you were talking about as well, it could rid you of all of that negative energy and everything that is influencing how you're feeling that day, or anger or anxiety, depression, you name it, whatever's going through you, you have an energetic healing. It will help flush it so you can have a better chance of handling what's coming up.
What's a homeostatic state?
Balance. Really, it's coming from a place of balance. We are influenced by our emotions. Thought and emotion are two sides of the same coin. So when you are in a stress-induced state, which most of us are, we live in that fight or flight a lot of the time. Busy is a thing. To be able to do an energetic healing, to bring yourself back into balance, actually gives you that fighting chance. When stress hits you, when an emotional distressing event hits you, you have a better chance of actually coping and dealing with it in a way that doesn't harm you.
And this is when meditation and mindfulness,
Oh yeah.
self-practice is important. You teach that as well, I believe.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, it's teaching you to calm yourself down.
How can we bring meditation and mindfulness more into the mainstream?
Oh, well, I think it starts with the younger generation, well, and ultimately the older generation as well. But if we get it in preschools and daycares, and yoga was a fad way back when until it actually became a way of life, and yoga started this whole cultural movement of meditation and mindfulness, thankfully.
Yeah.
But when we start young, when we start to teach our children how to emotionally respond in an appropriate manner instead of shoving it down, then we have a fighting chance of actually limiting the effects of mental illness within our teenage years and our early 20s and carrying on. Our generation right now, our generation before us, we were never taught how to emotionally cope with anything. If this sounds familiar, if you're going to cry, I'll give you something to cry about.
Wow.
Right?
That's a harsh one.
If you're angry, you can go to your room. If you're too excited or boisterous, go outside and play. You're sitting in a classroom and you want to ask a question, now's not the time.
So you're welling up. And as children, I know with my
We're
daughter,
muted.
you're welling up. You're just going to burst at the seams at any moment.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
it's creating a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. People are taught that they cannot be who they expressively want to be, and then they're not taught how to properly express that. When you add meditation and mindfulness into that, number one, you're becoming more conscious of your emotions, right? That is first and foremost. The most important thing is in this life is to understand your emotional body and to take care of your emotional body just like you would your physical body. And understanding that when you're angry, it's okay to be angry. When you're happy, scream that you're happy. It's a good thing. But expressing those emotions goes hand in hand with meditation and mindfulness. It brings you into that state of conscious living, and that's the goal. Because when we're unconsciously living, we're living through patterns. We're reacting before we're thinking. We're having that emotional reaction without actually understanding where it's coming from. Meditation and mindfulness teaches us how to do that.
Consciousness is key, being self-aware. What is a tip you can give our viewers right now that they can start doing to help them find that inner balance in that state of consciousness?
Well, first of all, when you're first starting out, I actually suggest that you set alarms to remember to be conscious.
Okay.
I know, it sounds ridiculous, but we don't live that way. And until it becomes a way of life, you're not going to consciously make these decisions. So when I first started, I just wanted to understand that I wasn't breathing properly. So I would set my alarm 5-6 times a day on my phone to breathe.
Just as you said that, I took a breath in.
Right?
I could use the alarm that says, breathe.
Just take a breath,
yeah,
right?
I'm doing it right now, yeah.
So I set up this game called the Red Light Reminder. It was for myself. I've incorporated my children
Very
into it.
cool.
When we hit red lights, when we hit a red light, take a
I
breath.
love that.
Right?
That's so great.
Well, I mean, how many times did you
Yeah.
play this game going over the railroad tracks, or
Yeah,
you're in a
lift your
tunnel,
feet.
you're holding,
Yeah.
exactly, you go through a tunnel, you hold your breath. So you hit a red light, take a deep breath, look around. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're talking to somebody, you can still,
That's
you're
very
breathing
cool.
anyways, but make that conscious effort to breathe with purpose, and then that starts to flow. It's like a domino effect. You start to stack it on, mindless, mindful moments.
If you're in a balanced place, then you can help the other people around you, because everyone knows you come home from work and one person's in a bad mood. They're not
Oh,
taking
yeah.
a breath, whether it's a child, husband, whoever, and then it starts to spread sometimes like wildfire, right? So if we're conscious ourselves, we can really help make a difference, is how I look at it.
Well, it directly relates. I mean, the 5 people that you spend the most time with directly relate to your inner environment as well as your external. So the 5 people, whether that's the person you talk to the most, or your children, your family, but work, I mean, we look at everybody who goes to work, you're with your work family more than you're with your
Yes.
actual family. And those people directly relate to how you are managing your emotions. So if you take that responsibility within yourself to be more conscious, and you take that action, you're going to inadvertently affect your environment in a good, positive way. If you have one person in your environment that is being conscious about how they speak to you, consciously, actively listening to you instead of consistently listening to respond or to fix you.
Waiting to respond, yeah, so many, of us can do that.
Well, we do. I mean, even when we're sitting there talking to your girlfriends and they're telling you a story, you're automatically thinking in your head, how
Planning your
can
next
I
thought.
help them fix them?
Right.
How do they want me to
We
respond?
project onto others.
We share
How
stories.
we would do it.
Exactly.
When you take a breath, is what you're saying, we have a moment to clarify where we're at.
Well, we have a
what would
moment
be
to-
the best action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a moment to actually think about what we want to say, and really active listening goes part with that too, that we're listening to hear that person. We're not listening to fix them or react to them.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we just want to be heard. Children want to be heard. Adults want to be heard. When we're having a fight, it's because we're not being heard. All of it boils down to just hearing the
You
other
mentioned the
person.
education system and bringing it into the mainstream that way. How, if at all, is the education system already doing that? Because we've made a lot of changes.
So exciting.
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
exciting,
it
right?
really is. I mean, the daycare that my son was in was doing yoga and mindfully based play. So not, going out into nature and understanding about garden and food. That all plays a huge part in it too. It's not just about the external factors of everything coming into your life, it's the internal factors. So creating an environment where the children have a moment where they can collectively come together to express themselves or collectively come together to sit in silence, and knowing that that silence is a good thing, or that sitting there and feeling the jitteriness within your body, and I feel like I need a really big hug to feel like I'm in my body, that's a good thing for a child too, you know.
And it's okay to ask for that.
It's okay.
I need a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. At any age.
At any age.
Yeah.
It's self-soothing, right? And so when we start to incorporate that into the environment, into the school system, which is starting to happen, I mean, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, all of that, certain teachers are bringing it in, certain curriculums are finally starting to incorporate it as mandatory, which is great. Stress management should be taught from a very young age. It's just the language that we use to teach them.
Because if you teach it in the education system, it'll naturally funnel eventually into work life everywhere. And people will have
Everywhere.
that work-life balance that's so necessary.
Well, it changes your interpersonal dynamics as well. So it relates into how you're living your life with your spouse and your partners, or how you're acting with your children. You're a lot more patient, you're more calm, but you're also starting to take accountability. And I think that's the biggest thing with personal development in meditation, mindfulness. You check
Accountability.
yourself,
Yeah.
right? You get to understand that nobody's doing this to you. You're allowing this to happen through your own reactive measures. And if you can sit back and take a breath, then you realize that a lot of anger that's projected at you, or a lot of emotion that's projected at you, is projection. So if you can respond in love and compassion to everything that is said to you, then you're changing the story, you're changing the narrative, and you're also calming and diffusing the situation.
You are a mentorship, personal development mentorship coach. You have a mentorship package online that I was checking out.
I know, I'm so excited. I just launched it.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Tell me about that.
So I developed this mentorship healing program. It's a 5-month program. The reason I chose 5 months, number one, is because it takes up to 3 weeks to form a habit, but it does take sometimes 3 to 9 months to create a lifestyle change within your environment. And if you want to make a change, you want it to be for the better, for the long term.
Yeah.
It's not just a habit, it's not just a fad. So I designed this program where you're, number one, getting an energetic healing once a week for 5 months, but you're also getting that talk therapy. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I am a coach. I'm a little unorthodox. I swear like a sailor, and I make really bad
Swearing
dad
therapy.
jokes.
I'd like
Swearing
to take
therapy.
That. Yeah, I'd like to take that.
But it does feel good. But there's a lot of accountability in you climbing back into yourself and understanding why you behave the way you behave, why you're reacting, and a well-rounded approach to peeling back the layers of your own accountability. So infusing that into a program in 5 months with reading materials and homework. I love to give homework.
Uh-oh, you're one of those, eh?
I am one of those. It's good homework. It's fun. Well, at least I think so.
Okay.
But it
Mindfulness
teaches you
homework, that sounds good.
mindfulness homework. It teaches you to love yourself and to understand that everything in this life, everything in this world starts and ends with you. And
Isn't it amazing that so many of us don't love ourselves? We don't even recognize whether we love ourselves or not. Why is that?
Well, I think people don't understand what self-love actually means. What does it mean to love yourself? Well, number one, it's to find as much compassion for your own behavior as it is for the person next door. You know that saying, treat others how you want to be treated? I actually believe that it's an inherently selfish rule. Yes, you should absolutely treat people, your neighbors, the supermarket clerk, the mailman, whoever it is, with respect. We should always treat everybody with respect. But when it comes to your loved ones and your close family and friends, I think it's imperative and important we treat them and love them the way they need to be treated and loved. And in turn, the way we need to be treated and loved, we have to treat ourselves. So taking that break when we need to, and not without any excuses, right? No, I'm not going to go to that gathering tonight. I'm actually exhausted, and I'm going to love myself tonight by saying no, whether you like it or not, right? It's really important that I take care of me. And it's not selfish anymore. It's not labeled, it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary to put yourself first. Not in an arrogant, condescending way, but in a way where you are showing yourself compassion. I have to take that yoga class because it makes me feel good, over going for coffee because I haven't seen a friend in 2 months. In all reality, your body, your mind, your spirit should come first and foremost, because when you take care of yourself, your environment starts to repeat the same pattern in a good way.
And we all need help with that. For whatever reason, we just
Oh,
have to
Lord,
admit to
do we
ourselves
ever.
we need help. So where can someone find you? You're to have an energetic healing session with you.
You can find me online at leamorrison.com, but I do have an office in my home in Coquitlam, and I see clients out of there.
Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you have it. We got to learn to love ourselves, and we can start doing that today. So thank you very much for watching.